Hi, welcome to Honors Geometry Virtual Meet the Teacher Night. My name is Robin Padgington, and I'm sorry I can't meet you in person, but I look forward to giving you some information about the course. And then feel free to message me or contact me if you have any questions. All right, a little about me. I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida. I graduated from Jacksonville University with a bachelor's in engineering mathematics and then graduated from Georgia Tech with an engineering degree. After working for a professor for 2 years while going to engineering school, I decided that I would like to pursue the teaching route instead. I decided I'd worked as a camp counselor for 3 years throughout college. I really liked, moving around, being around people, and I kind of decided the lab atmosphere that I was working in wasn't the best fit for me. So I moved to Indiana, and I was excited to begin teaching in 1999. And I had taken some education courses as electives throughout college, thinking that I would want to do that at some point. So I was able to go ahead and get a teaching job because I already had that math and science degree and some education courses. And then I just spent those first 2 years while I was teaching, finishing up my teaching coursework at IU Kokomo and at IU PUI, and then was able to get that full-time license. I was on a limited license at first. I ended up teaching at Tri Central High School for 7 years, at Ivy Tech for 5 years, part time when my kids were little, and then at Northwestern High School for 3 years. And then my family moved down to the Westfield area a couple years ago. And so this is my third year at Westfield, and I really like it here so far. And I'm looking forward to having your student. A little more about me. Over the years, I've taught lots of math and science, but primarily math. Taught a lot of Algebra 1 and geometry. I taught AP Calculus for 3 years while at Northwestern. Taught various college math classes at Ivy Tech. And I also, in my first teaching job, taught some physics and integrated physics and chemistry. But I will say, of all the courses I've taught the most geometry, and that is, I really enjoy geometry, and I hope your students will as well. I am married, and I have a daughter who is a junior at Westfield, and I have a son who is a freshman at Westfield. At Westfield, I'm a assistant cross country coach and assistant track coach. I'm also an academic Super Bowl sponsor and a Girls in STEM sponsor. So there's lots to get involved with at Westfield. Your student will start hearing a lot about clubs and different offerings soon. And I just encourage them to get involved with something. There's a lot out there, a lot of people to get to know. And, if they're interested in the things that I do, I'd love to tell them about it. If not, like I said, there's lots to choose from. In my free time, I love to run when I get a chance. And as a family, we enjoy camping, hiking, and visiting lots of national parks. We drive that minivan all over the country. All right, a little bit about what we're going to learn in geometry this year during first trimester. We've been doing a lot of vocabulary lately. So there's a Quizlet on the main Canvas homepage the students can use to practice. And I've been telling them that the words we learn in this first chapter aren't going to go away. We're going to keep working with those all year. So it's really important to get those down now. We're also going to be learning a lot how to think logically, how to do proofs that you may remember from your geometry days, and the characteristics of a lot of different shapes that the students have worked with these shapes before, but we're just doing more with them and kind of taking them to a higher level. Second semester, we'll do a lot with similarity, Pythagorean theorem, trigonometry. The students will finally get to use the SIN, sine, COS, cosine, and TAN, tangent buttons on their calculator. And we will also cover area, surface area, and volume. Again, the students have done some of that in the past, but we will just do more with it. And we will cover circles. I'm looking forward to having your student in class and getting to know him or her. I'm also looking forward to helping your son or daughter learn and grow as a student and in his or her math abilities. Also looking forward to sharpening your students' reasoning and critical thinking skills, as well as exposing your student to careers or skills in mathematics, computer science, engineering, law, construction, landscaping, and maybe just for some home improvement projects that they might need to do in the future. In terms of grades, the term grades are 80% assessments and 20% notes, classwork, and homework. Again, I usually tell students, though, if they really focus on that 20%, that the 80% will come and do just fine. If they kind of slack off on the notes, classwork, and homework and don't take full advantage of those opportunities to get the practice of learning, then the 80% assessments come much, much more difficult. The trimester grades are 80% the term grade and 20% counted as the final exam. The final exam is something we will review for. We'll have a review packet. We will be prepared. They will be prepared for that when it gets there. The assignments are given daily so students can get the practice on the material. And most of the assignments will be based on completion. So again, it's kind of up to the students not to just rush through it and slap something down, but to really make sure they're using those assignments as a tool to help them learn the material, asking questions if they have any along the way. And the quizzes and mini quizzes will be given throughout the chapter just to kind of help make sure the students are mastering the little skills along the way. And then a test will be given at the end of each chapter just to make sure that the students have learned that content before we move on to the next thing. In terms of how the students can be successful in the class, one is they want to be responsible for their own learning and make their best effort in the class, whether they're at home working on homework or in the class with me. If they're watching videos while they take notes, I encourage them to watch the videos, listen to the pointers that I'm giving out as they're taking the notes, pause the video, when I ask them to pause it and try a problem on their own. And again, not just go through the motions, but use that as a time to learn and then participate when they're in class, when we're discussing things and when we're kind of working together and I give them a chance to try problems that, again, the more active they are, the more it's going to stick and the more it's going to come. Like I said, knowing the vocabulary is very important. I told the students on the first day, the actual math portion of geometry isn't that difficult, the actual algebra and that kind of thing. But there's a lot of words and things that they need to be familiar with and concepts they need to be familiar with that if they know those, combined with the algebra that they already know from last year, that they'll be much more successful with the geometry. I also want to encourage the students to do the entire assignment every time and on time, pay attention to those due dates, and try every part of every problem. That's a huge thing that I ask. Sometimes students see a word problem and they just shut down and don't try it. Or sometimes the problem has A, B, C, and D, and they'll do part A and call it good. But they want to try every part of every problem. They want to have the perseverance to get through that whole problem. And they want to make sure that they are in the habit of showing work if it's a problem that requires work. And that if the problem says explain their answer or justify their answer, they want to make sure they're doing that as well. Students also need to take the time to correct the assignments when we go over it. We'll spend class time going over the assignments. I'll see if there's questions, and that's the time for them to learn and see what they got right, what they didn't, and try to figure out, if they did miss things, try and figure out what they missed and why so they can learn from it. If they are absent, it's important that they stay caught up with the class. Everything that we do in class, I put on Canvas. So they shouldn't need to wait until the next day they see me to say, hey, what did you do while I was gone? They should be able to look on Canvas the day they're absent and go ahead and take care of that. So they're caught up with the class. And, another big thing is just for the students to realize that if they need help, that don't wait too long. Ask me questions in class or message me with questions or get on my Zoom help sessions. And I'd be glad to help them get it figured out before it's too late. All right, how can parents help? One thing is that just knowing that struggle is okay. Sometimes geometry is going to come really easy for some, and sometimes it's going to be a little more challenging for others, and it's going to take a little more time for it to learn and click and for them just to get it figured out. It's kind of a whole different ball game than the other math classes they've been in before. So the quote I have here from Suzanne Sutton says, "Struggling in mathematics is not the enemy any more than sweating is the enemy in basketball. It is part of the process and a clear sign of being in the game." So we definitely want the students to be in the game, actively participating, and learning and growing throughout that process. And again, as parents, you can encourage your student. If they're frustrated or kind of struggling with something, encourage them, be positive with them, kind of resents the temptation, to say, "Oh, well, I was bad at math, so you're probably bad at math." Encourage them that through their effort, and if they need to get help, they can get help, that they can get through that struggle and learn from it and come out better on the other side. Also, you can guide your student to resources, sometimes just reminding them of those resources that they have, that they can ask questions in class, circle or star it. They want to at least try it on their homework. They don't want to leave it blank, try it, but they can star it or circle it and remind themselves to ask me about it the next day in class, or they can send a message to me the day they're struggling with it, or they can even take a picture of their assignment and message it to me and say, "Hey, can you check number 5 and number 11? I'm not sure about those." And I would be glad to do that and give them some feedback that day. They can also call or text a friend to help with an assignment. I encourage them to exchange numbers with people in the class, and that is fine if they work together on the assignment, and help talk through some problems. That might be a good way to help each other out. And they can also get on my Zoom calls to ask me questions. I'll have a Zoom call set up for every Friday that they can get on and ask questions. But I've also told them that my prep period is 5th period, and they can message me throughout the day, and I'll respond back during 5th period. Or if they feel like they need a 15 or 20-minute Zoom call during my 5th period prep to ask me some questions, I can set that up as well. So I'm more than willing to help them out if needed. Okay, for the syllabus, if you can please read through the attached syllabus. I either have it attached here to this presentation, and I will have a link to this presentation on your student's Canvas page, or I have just a syllabus tab on the Canvas homepage too that you can click on. But if you can, I'll show you what it looks like here in a moment, but if you can read through that syllabus, I don't want to read the whole thing to you right now, but let you at your own pace kind of read through it. And then on the last slide, I'll have a Google form for parents to fill out if they had viewed the slide presentation and read the syllabus. And yes, let me click here so you can see that. So you can see here, I just have different boxes with different topics here. So you see the daily class supplies. That scientific calculator is really important. If your student doesn't have one already, they're $8 to $10 at Target or Walmart or a grocery store. So I highly recommend a scientific calculator if your student doesn't have one already. And you can see just for the different topics, the late work policy, absent policy, Canvas, how the grades work, expectations, things to avoid, signing up for Remind. I've encouraged the students to sign up for my Remind, but parents may sign up for it as well if they would like. Different ways for students to communicate with me and parents as well. Just some classroom information, some technology information, and some information about homework. And then the last few are tests and quizzes and office hours and the flipped classroom. So again, if you can take the time to read through that, your student should have already read through that and filled out a Google form for me saying that they read it and they received some points for that. If they haven't done that yet, please encourage your student to do that, and I can give those 10 points. But again, if you can read through that and sign off on this Google form on the last slide, that would be great. And oops, I went too far. Sorry about that. All right, one other thing I want to mention is Canvas. So your student's Honors Geometry Canvas homepage has the following resources for your student. And I would encourage you to ask your student to show you around on that Canvas page, just to show you that they know where everything is, and that so you're familiar with it as well. Each chapter of the textbook and the odd answers I've also put there so that they can check their answers to book assignments along the way. My contact information, as well as my office hours and Zoom help session information is there. There's a spot where they can click on to message me through Canvas. I get those messages right on my phone, so I can respond back to them very quickly. The daily agenda of what we'll do in class each day. So again, if they're absent, they can see everything that we did in class, and there's links to anything that they need from that day. There's also the daily agenda of what students need to do for each e-learning day. And again, they need to take care of that e-learning work on the actual e-learning day. There's also an attendance form that they need to fill out each e-learning day by 12:30 p.m. to get counted for attendance for that day. So that's another important part of that. And there's also a column that shows what is due each day. So you can ask them to show you around their Canvas page. And I didn't put it in here, but also PowerSchool. It's a good idea to sign up for PowerSchool so that you can keep an eye on your students' grades and help encourage them if they need some encouragement in that area. And my last slide here is just some contact information. So feel free to contact me if you have any questions or concerns. I have my email here. I also have my phone number. And then if you could please complete the attached Google form once you've viewed these slides or watched the video and read the syllabus. And I really do truly thank you for your time and for your partnership. I look forward to working with you and your student to help make this a successful trimester. And I hope you have a great day.